Hello, hello, hello. I'm Vanessa Cruz, and this is Discovering Your Brilliance. I have the honor today of speaking with a friend, fellow board member, all the things, Mr. Tim Kincaid. And I am so honored that he will be here today. We have worked together through TCC, and now I feel like he's a friend. We've known each other for a while, and I'm really excited about today's conversation. So, without further ado, Dr. Tim Kincaid, PCC, is principal of Kincaid Associates Coaching and Consulting, offering executive coaching and change management and leadership development consultancy. He helps leaders and organizations to be more focused, effective, and successful. A specialty is helping clients with life transitions, creating what's next, midlife reinventions. He earned a doctorate in human and organization development and an MBA, and he brings with him more than 25 years of corporate experience to his practice. He's certified in many personality assessments, and in addition to coaching, training, and consulting work, Tim also teaches at UNT College of Business. Wow, so many awesome things. So, without further ado, Tim, how are you doing
Hello,
today?
I'm well. How are you?
I am
Good
good.
to see
Of
you.
course, I just read your bio, but I always love to
hmm
hear it from the expert's own mouth. Anything you'd like to change or add to what I shared?
No, it's just something that just keeps evolving, and like
Yeah.
me, so
Yes.
like all of us.
I love it. I love it
Yeah.
so much. So to start off, you have a wealth of wisdom and experience. I love to hear what brought you into this coaching space. What was your coaching journey like?
Mhm. Well, it's other coaches I've heard say this that when they're asked, so when did you become a coach? And the answer is I've always been a coach. I think some of us are just kind of naturally curious and empathetic and interested in helping and all those things. Um, I always kind of had that going on. I think you probably did too.
Yeah.
I think most of us did, and it attracts us to this work. Um, I think it was back in the late 90s, last century, that someone at a workshop said, just offhandedly, oh, and I'm also a life coach. And I'm like, a what? I've never heard of a life coach. Um, and as time went on, I asked more questions. I circled back with them and worked with a life coach early 2000s or so. And the takeaway was two things. One is, this actually works. This is interesting. I'd done psychotherapy. This is not that, but
Yeah.
it's also helpful. So I found it not only is it helpful and it works. I think I want to do that. I think I'd be good at that. And so it kind of got me in the back of my head. I was happy in my corporate job. I had other stuff to do. Was thinking, well, okay, well, I'll file that away for what's next, maybe retirement or whatever. And it kept going, and I kept working with a coach, and it never stopped. And then
I love it.
yeah, I
And here we are.
and here we are, and here we are.
Yeah. Um, the topic I love to discuss is discovering your brilliance. And this is what it sounds like is both of our lives' work. On the topics that you wanted to discuss today, I love both of them. So you help people with career transitions from corporate life to
Mhm.
solopreneurship. And then also the DEI of coming out, not just for gay people, but the closet metaphor relevant to everybody's life. Say more.
Oh, okay, all right. Um, well, good. The transition part. I I left corporate life, 25 years or so of working in large organizations, doing PR, communications, employee communications, media relations, crisis, but all centered around communications. And I left, 2008, I left American Airlines. I'd been there for 16 years. I took a package, bridge to retirement. I turned 50. I had enough years in. The economy was tanking. They were going to be, letting people go, laying people off because
Yeah.
travel was just dropping off a cliff in 2008. And I thought, it surprised me when they offered that, how it didn't take long to decide, I think I want to do that. I thought I'd be there forever because that'd been a dream of mine, is working. It's kind of weird how specific, but working at American Airlines and doing corporate PR. But I'd done it
Really?
for a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Um, we had some rough years in there, including, 9/11 and some
Oh,
other stuff.
wow.
And while it was, bigly, it was great, very rewarding. I learned a lot. It was tiring, but it was also Groundhog Day. I was getting every day was kind of the same. I was kind of
Yeah.
unconsciously competent, I suppose, or something. I don't mean to be cocky about it, but every day was kind of the same, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
Whatever
You
that
got
means.
really good at it. So
I
you didn't have to think
did.
about
I did. I
it.
was not learning. I went back working full time to graduate school twice, and, in addition to working full time.
Oh,
And
wow.
yes, and my coach were just like, go with God. We don't know what you're doing or why. And but MBA, and then, hey, I like this because I started teaching adjunct on the side. I kind of like this. They said, well, you'll need to get a doctorate then because you'll be able to teach more courses. And so I went back and went to a doctorate. And it did not, the company was helpful. They supported me in some ways, but it was, my dime, my time, my climb. It was all about me working full time. But in 2008, I'd finished my coursework. I loved it. And I wasn't finished. The dissertation was not getting written on off hours. That's really some dark, lonely, hard work. And
Yeah.
I was thinking about, well, should I? And I was working with a coach too at this time, another one. Um, what should I do? Maybe take an unpaid leave of absence to get this done. Then the package was offered, and boom, the way forward. I mean, I was getting the
Yeah.
salary, retiree travel benefits. I had health benefits for a couple of years. I got that through my spouse also. So that was covered. And it was just so easy to do.
Yeah.
It
It
felt
was like the universe was like, hey, we need you. We need you in this space.
It seems like it's yes, yes, and I had a vision of, oh, okay, here's my three-legged stool. I want to do coaching. I want to teach. I think some consulting work also, which is like including facilitating and training, things like that. All sounded just like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Drawing on what I'd done my whole life there, drawing on the education, and just kind of following, creating what was new. And so I took the plunge, and it was so interesting. People at American tend to be, they just really identify with it, and they're even as troubled as this industry and that airline has been and is in some ways. They're still proud of it. But I was having people instead of come up and ask me, why are you doing this? They came up and some people just came out and said, I wish I'm envious. You've got something to go do. You've got a vision of something you want to go do. And had I had my coach training yet, I would have said, let's work together.
You too could have
Yes,
a vision of what to do.
indeed, yes. So that first, cleared this with my husband Larry, and he was very supportive, even though we carpooled together. That was our some time together for debriefing our days and things. He worked in the different building, different department, everything. But so that helped fund, that funded my coach training and certification, but also help kind of keep us afloat um, in that between time. As I
Yeah, trying to
started this
figure it all
business.
out.
Yes, yeah. So I did finish the doctorate. It was not easy,
Yeah.
but I got it done and got the credential, which was I'm glad I did. Biggest learning was about me, not about material. It truly is mm, a journey, like most things
Yeah.
that matter are. And so here I had this doctorate, and I had, I don't know if I had my ACC certification yet or not. And I said, okay, I'm ready for clients now. And that was a time that was just kind of hard too, in shifting the gears there, and
Yeah.
shifting identities between full-time corporate and that, what the future was. So everyone knew me 25 years or so, and then everybody knew me as a corporate PR guy, a communications person. Um, a lot of them knew me, an American Airlines person. Once I left there, I was not that. I'd done that, but that was behind me. That was the past. And my new work was not an iteration of corporate PR.
That.
It was a
Yeah.
complete change of doing corporate PR, of doing coaching and consulting and teaching. And they didn't know me as that. And in fact, they were saying, what sport are you going to be coaching? So I was starting, from, this is Texas, so from
Yeah.
ground zero, or maybe below that, about I need to recreate me and quit saying I used to do this and now, looking forward. And in corporate PR, the idea is to help your client. In my view, is to accurately and as positively as possible, and not be the center of attention. I might be a spokesperson and be on camera, but that's about it. Suddenly, I'm the product, and it's a lot
Yes.
of sudden. It was really, and it still is, a challenge to um, put myself out there, but I
In
had
that
to build
way.
build a brand and
Yeah.
shift my identity. And what's cool is that coaching is so helpful in that, and our clients in coaching often are us. Maybe they're in a different place. They probably are in a different place, but I love helping people make that transition. We are living longer in this culture uh, than probably ever, and we have better health care. And so, living longer, you're getting that extra life. It's not the end of life. Isn't this awful decline?
Right.
It's the
Right.
middle of life that's getting extended. So, what are you going to do with this extra time? Play golf in Florida, or
Or
you know,
yeah.
or be lost and
Yeah.
become a burden from your spouse because you're home all the time. What will you be doing? And I love helping people to imagine that stuff, and
Yeah.
and sort of create and recreate. The
That
you
vision for themselves. Yeah.
right, right, and there's so many out there, that silver tsunami, who are leaving corporate life.
Silver
Or
tsunami. That's a
yeah,
fun word.
I wish I'd said that, but yeah, uh, um, we need to think and rethink this whole thing. Definitions of elderly, of old, of age, of retirement. Someone, I can't remember
Right.
who said this, about it's really preferment. What would you prefer to do instead of,
Right. You
you
kind of
know,
like put in your time, made the money. Now you have like
mhm.
the choice. So what do you want to do to your point with the next chapter of your story?
Right. And I want to acknowledge that I'm very blessed, very privileged. I've had, many, many, many advantages out there. We're all on different paths. We're all have different strengths and things. But just knowing that whatever, whatever capabilities or interests are there, I love helping people, to figure that
Bring
out.
those skills
Sometimes
out. Yeah.
they don't even know what they want. And
Yeah.
what a great place to start is, well, let's figure that out. And
Yeah.
um,
I think that's what I love so much about coaching too is,
mhm,
I mean, like anything in life, unless you give it the time, energy, like thought that it deserves,
mhm,
nothing can grow or come from it, right? And
right.
like this, like, what do I want to do with my life? I've been asking myself that, and I think it's because I
Yeah,
watched Oprah from a very young
I
age.
know. Yeah,
And so she had me asking myself for forever, like, what is my
yeah,
purpose?
yes. You get a life, and you get um,
But most people don't think about it. They go through life and then they'll reach a point where nothing works anymore.
right.
And they're like, wait a minute, this isn't right. And it might be retirement. It might just being laid off. We're in the era of everybody getting laid off, and you really have to
Yeah.
rethink it. And what I
Hmm.
love that you do and I do is like, well, how do we want to rethink it? How do we want to rethink what this next chapter or next step
Hmm.
looks like and put some intention behind it?
Exactly. Yes. And we get to create that, and our clients get to create that. COVID, if I don't, it's hard to find something good about it, but it was certainly just observing. It was, it changed everything. People could work from home suddenly because
And
they're,
reprioritize. Yeah.
yes, and they get to sort of reflect on, I don't really want to go back there,
Yeah,
and
that was
it just
draining.
turned things on its head. It was, especially when it is a sort of existential threat
Right.
that this disease is out there, and this time on the planet is not limitless. What do I want to do with what I have right now and in the foreseeable future? So there was a lot of the what is it, the great quit, or what do they call it? I,
You have great resignation.
yeah. See how soon these like mean things go away, but that that happened, and
Yeah.
there's still hard to it's still hard to get people to work for what you're offering and provide great service or whatever. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know. Just it just kind of changed. I think so many things, and again, it comes into my coaching sessions where some people are feeling kind of trapped where they are, and they're not feeling fulfilled like they were. Um, and something I found really interesting, I think, to me, is the whole notion of sort of life stages. Um, Wayne Dyer, the author, speaker Wayne Dyer, who died recently. I mean, it's very prolific writer, big thinker, and he wrote a book called, I think, The Shift. There's also a movie made from it that he's in. It's not a great movie, but it's a good movie. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a message movie, let's say. Um, but he talks about how um, around 50, there is, for most of us, there's a stirring, not exactly at 50, but some earlier, some later, whatever. But around 50, it's like, is that all there is? And I
right.
don't think I really want to run this place. I don't think I need to be in that. I don't really care about that anymore. And so it's a shift. He called it the shift from ambition to meaning. Um,
Mm.
about having a legacy. What did it matter? I was here. Was it just because I put in so many hours of work or made so much money? What was the meaning of it? What difference did I make? Is it better than when I found it? Um, that kind of thing. And it seems like we all have that stirring around 50. And I did. I mean, it was, looking back, I could see it was building up. And sure enough, right at 50, I did that. I left and made that big move. A lot of my clients are there too. And
Yeah.
just knowing they're not freaks, they're not, they're unique and beautiful, but
Yeah.
there's some
Silver
commonality.
tsunami. There, you're part of this.
Yeah. And so, as they said in my coach training at CTI, giving yourself full permission to, to have what it is you want and dream big and all those things. And so I'm the guide on the side as a coach to kind of help them think through those things.
Yeah.
And a little bit of mentoring, maybe, just because I've been there, but mostly coaching.
Yeah.
And there's something I think so helpful just to have a witness be there to hear what I'm saying, non-judgmental. It's not going anywhere else. There was
But it's a safe space for you to dream that
exactly,
big dream and
yeah,
say that big thing that you want for yourself.
it is. Carl Weick is a social psychologist or industrial psychologist, something. Famous author, Carl Weick, was talking to a little girl, and she said, "How will I know what I want till I see what I say?" So you got to
Oh,
barf it out, and
yes.
having a trusted other there to witness that, and then riff on
And
it.
hold it for you, and I keep going back because I just have your bio up right here, the coming
Mm-hmm.
out of it all. Because I was just talking to my coach today, and he said to me this morning, and it almost brought me to tears. He's like, I need you to see you as I see you. We're going to get there where we
Wow.
are in alignment. And I was like, oh, because I'm here in my head. Like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I want to be this big and
Mm-hmm.
I want this and that. And then I don't know how to do any of it. So I don't take any steps. And then he said that to me, and I was like, oh, wow. Thank you. Like, and that is, I think, just exactly to
Mm-hmm.
what you just said. How do I know what I want until I say it? Or is that what you said? Like,
I see what I
how do
say.
I
Yeah.
see what I say out loud? And that is, I think, so fundamental to our work. It's like just being that space where you can say it out loud and be like, okay, well, yeah, let's do it. What does it look like to be
Right.
X, Y, and Z? What does it look like? What's the first step? Because
Mm-hmm.
so many people I know want this vision for themselves, but then don't ever take any steps because they're thinking of the Z of it all. When it's like, you got A, B, C, D, like you have to just take one step. And then it's amazing to
Mm-hmm.
see what that one step will build on the next step. And then
Mm-hmm.
in a year from now, what could this look like? You may not still be where you want to be, but you'll be a lot of steps closer than if you didn't just take that first step.
And you might enjoy the ride more if you can
Yeah.
relax a little bit around it and just know this is a journey, it's a process. All we have is right now. That's all
Yeah.
we have is right now. And I mean, if just keep coming back to that, sounds very Buddhist, doesn't it? But they're onto something there. Is
Yeah.
we have right now. And I love what you said with your coach um, giving you a hard truth about here's how I see you and rocking your boat.
It did. I was like,
Yes,
wait a minute, what?
exactly. So yeah. So
So when you think about
hmm,
anybody who's on this journey right now and
mhm,
they're maybe just got laid off, maybe entertaining retirement, maybe just feeling that,
mhm.
ugh, is this all of it all? Is this all
Yeah.
of it? What are some tips that you would share with them on how to begin this self-discovery journey?
Well, hire a coach is good.
Yes.
And
Great self-promotion. Thank you,
yeah,
Tim.
right. Yes. Yeah. Call now. There were some surprises for me. Everybody is different, but a lot of us that I'm at least in my world are clear. They're not done working. They're not done with, they're not just going to do nothing. Um, I hope, and so it's like, it's creating what's next, that third chapter, however, whatever you want to call it. But some surprises along the way were um, how how much the employer provided. I think Daniel Pink in his book Free Agent Nation, highly recommended. It's a little old now, but it is really good for reinvention kind of thing about what's next.
I have his
He said,
Drive book right behind me because
yes,
I love
yeah,
the way he writes. Yeah,
I
I'll
love
have to
that
add
one
it to my
too.
list.
Yeah. Well, Free Agent Nation is really a good. I mean, just like, oh yeah, that makes all kinds of sense, and I'm not alone. And
Yeah.
some great ideas. But he said that it's like the golden handcuffs of working in a corporate life. It's like corporate welfare. You're getting health care. They're providing the work and the clients, the flow of that. They give you a structure, a place to go, a place to park, all those things. Retirement, HR, IT support, the help desk. Well, when I walked out of American Airlines, suddenly I was all those things. And I am not interested or capable, I think, of doing a lot of those things. And so get ready, just know that all that's happening. The flow stops. And suddenly, so what you do is you don't have to do it yourself. You create a network of support. Hire it, get a good accountant. I don't want to do taxes, and I don't know how to do. When
Yeah.
you're a business owner, all that stuff. It's not something. That's not the work I want to do, and it's very reasonable. Really, it's a good value. Web design and branding and other things like that. You don't have to do it yourself. VA, a virtual assistant to help, depends on a lawyer or at least legal help, some of some kind, to support you because you can't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. And it's
And
more fun when you have a community around you.
it's a relief. Yes.
Yeah.
And you have, and similarly collaborating because suddenly you're going from being corporate. And I know that COVID has probably brought this to the forefront more about we needed that social interaction, running into people in the hallways, water cooler moments if you had a water cooler, kind of old style, but you need to recreate. You have to create that for yourself. So you make play dates, coffee dates
Yeah.
or Zoom dates, or something to take care of yourself and notice when you're feeling lonely, because even today, coaching, which as much as I love it, most of it is virtual, and it can be kind of an isolating, even a lonely experience. So I need to attend to that because if the vessel is empty, nobody drinks. I can't help anyone unless
Fulfill.
I'm
Yeah.
fulfilled. And so I'm just noticing that stuff. And I also have a coach, and coaches have
Yeah.
coaches. Um,
To have a person to process it all with and support you,
exactly.
and then bubble to the top. What's the most
Hmm.
important thing? Um, I had
Yes.
something I was going to say and then it popped right out of my head, but
Hmm.
yeah, well, there it was. There
Hmm.
it's gone. So
Yeah. Well, I,
sorry.
I know we're probably running a little short on time, um, but I did want to just kind of put it out there. A little bit of a shift here about the whole metaphor of the closet, of coming out of the
Yes.
closet. Um, in social science, people who are, some of us have a invisible stigmatized social identity that is in certain places, in certain cultures, is a stigma, is shamed. Shame is heaped on sexual orientation. That is the non-heterosexuals. Everybody has one, but
Right.
anything that it's not heteronormative, as they'd say. Um,
Yeah.
but also, other things that are not obvious. It could be like being neurodiverse, for example, or
Yeah.
having a health thing that's not known, that people are afraid of. Um, and
We all have them. There's so many, right?
we
Like,
all do. But it also can be a belief system. I interviewed for my dissertation a gay man who was a Christian and a conservative. And he said he was in the closet around other gay people because he couldn't say that I agree with, whatever, whoever it was at the time.
Yeah.
So it's so
Can be
the
so
idea,
dynamic.
the closet is there as a quote safe space, but it's also a vertical coffin that smothers you, and
Oh,
we all have it. Everyone
we
has it.
do.
Um,
Oh,
it
that's so true. A vertical coffin. Man, that hit me
mhm,
right there. We do.
yeah.
And we carry these and we get them in unknown ways. And they're most of the times you don't know they're there
Mhm.
until you talk to a coach or you talk to a therapist or you talk to somebody about like, why can't I get to that next level of where I want to
Mhm.
be or what I want in life?
Right,
Uh,
right. And exactly. And also, kind of getting through the shame of it. What shame assigned by others, but also the self shame. If you kind of heal that, suddenly you don't care so much about, well, the opinions of others. Something I found real interesting in some of the research too is something called the complementary stigma. That sounds, what a weird name, but um, so if I come out to you, suddenly you are holding a secret and you're having to get in the closet or decide, am I going to be in the closet about, I have a dear friend who's gay. It's, with you, it's not a big deal, but
yeah.
um, let's say with parents, sometimes
Right.
suddenly they love us, and to them, maybe the generation, it's just not
They
something
thought
they,
of
yeah.
the way that
And
their kids would be, right? Like, oh, this isn't what I thought.
exactly. And suddenly it's theirs to hide too. And that's just how insidious this is. Um, and that's why there's a group called PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, and how Ellen's mom came out and was a spokesperson for that and all that. Giving other parents the permission. There's another way of doing this. You can love your kid
Yeah.
and you can be a part of their lives. And even if you can't understand it completely because you don't,
It's
you're
not
not
your
them,
experience. Yeah.
but you can be an ally and someone supportive and not um, be ashamed of them and force them, to be in a closet. And let me share one last idea about this. His last name is Yoshino, but he wrote a book called Covering. It was fascinating because he did research about the whole, and this is true not of just gay people, but that was the context. And he said, I forgot the different stages of it, but there's the initial coming out. Okay, I've divulged that. How out are you going to be though? I came out at work at American, but and so they said, "Oh, good, great, thanks, I'm fine. It's not a problem." I have a gay friend or whatever, all that kind of dismissive. But there was discomfort on my part and maybe theirs when I would talk about how my weekend was and what Larry and I did and where we went or what we did. They're sharing it freely. For me, it was sometimes I'm making more of it but I don't know. It's a lifetime of hiding. And so there
Yeah.
there are different kinds of I can come out, but how out can I be? And this is the sort of the minority tax that I've heard um, in the context of like black women, but I think all of
Yes.
us who are others, even those of us that can pass, as
Right.
a cisgender white straight man, for me, is to decide in each moment, is it safe? Is it relevant to share all those things? And it's exhausting. And it's something that
Yeah.
I would think that straight men, for example, or women, it doesn't occur to them. They don't, it's not anything. There's a privilege to that. And so
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of full circle brings me to how important the DEI work is, because it's really just about belonging.
Yeah. It is.
So,
And I think you touched on it so beautifully, but it can be in so many areas that are not obvious to the eye, right? I am
absolutely.
now working in the work that I'm doing with cultures from all over the world and
Yeah.
now learning all of the things that they carry that are culturally ingrained in them that coming to the
Hmm.
United States an American is like, get over it. Like, but collectivism versus individual,
Yeah.
individualism is like, there's so
Hmm.
many things that are nuanced. So that I think everybody just needs to give a little bit more compassion to saying different is okay. And how can I learn more and understand what your differences are and be
Yeah.
a supportive ally in whatever the difference might be
Right.
instead of the judgment that's put on. And again, I'll bring it
Hmm.
full circle. I think this is the space that coaches can help with too in bringing up your voice for yourself and how you're
Hmm.
going to speak your truth to the world
Hmm.
and show up and come out of the closet in whatever way that might appear for you.
Right.
Um, but it is such important work. And I think you've said this throughout our whole conversation, but like building that community and having that space and knowing that you're not alone. You've said that so many times. You're not alone. Like there are so many. There's the silver tsunami. There's all sorts of people who are out there that can support you. And I think it's such a valuable lesson because we do like isn't loneliness like the top mental health crisis right now? Is like people feel so alone, even though we're so connected. And I think you
Well,
said that so beautifully. We're not alone. You're not alone.
you're not. And depression and all kinds of things. It's not just pull your bootstraps, whatever that is, whatever that means.
Mm, yeah.
Um, so yes.
Well, Tim, I have to say this before we depart. Your presence is just so comforting and
Mm,
warm and welcoming that for anybody listening who's looking for a coach, I would couldn't hype you up more. I
thank you.
just love talking to you so much
Yeah.
that normally I try to keep these short and I could just keep talking to you for 5 more hours, but I know we both have busy days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Good. Well, I thank you for this opportunity. This is, I mean, anytime to get to talk to you, and now that you've kind of moved to another state and things, it's just a
Yeah.
joy to be with you. And
Yeah.
so
Thank you.
this was fun, and I appreciate the opportunity to. It helps me think about how I know what I think till I see what I say.
Ugh, I love it. How can people connect with you for those who are listening? And I'm like, I need a coach, and I know somebody who needs a coach. What's the best way to
Yeah.
get in touch?
Well, LinkedIn. Go to my website. That's even better.
There you
Um,
go.
KincaidCoaching.com.
Wonderful. And I will share all of these ways to connect for our listeners. And again, cannot thank you enough. This is such a pleasure. What a wonderful way to start my day. Thank you.
Thank you.